Hey guys, it's Joanne Ray, and I am super excited to be bringing you season 3 of A Human Connection. And just like all the other seasons, we're going to be bringing to you some of the most influential people in this industry, some people that I have followed and have mentored me along my 30 plus year career in this business. So, hope you join along with us so we laugh and we learn along the way. Well, hey guys, this is Joanne Ray. Welcome to another episode of A Human Connection. I am super excited today. As I've mentioned on every podcast, the intent behind this medium here for me is to bring to you, the listener, people that I've met along the way in my 30 plus year journey in this career and in this industry. And today I am super excited to have somebody that I think we might go way back to the very beginning of both of our careers when we first met. I think we were 12 years old, when we first met.
we at least look 12 anyway, right? Just give us that, right?
Exactly. But would love to introduce my friend for many years. This is Greg Etchison. Official title is AVP of Medicare Supplement at Humana now. We certainly go way back to the Pioneer Life Conseco days. So for many of our listeners, that's where we got our start.
Good times.
But welcome, Greg.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah, no. So this will be a lot of fun. We'll start with the business side of it, which is obviously where you and I have met and where you've had tremendous success over your career. And then we'll kind of start peeling back some of the layers of what makes Greg and what you enjoy doing, and a little bit more about you, the dad, the husband, the all-around nice guy that you are known of in this industry. But let's start with your bio and how you got to this point.
Yeah, so I hope I don't bore people with this, but it's exciting to me. So I went to college at Anderson University. I didn't stray too far from home. Anderson University was a whopping 20 minutes down the road from the town I grew up in, a little small town, farming community. A lot of the kids that I went to school with, a lot of our parents, both parents worked for General Motors here in Anderson, which is where I live now, Indiana. And so it was, we thought we had the world by the tail. We just thought that, life was great. And, but what was weird about that is when you are surrounded by so many kids whose parents did the same thing, your view and perception on what your career choices were was about this big. It was doctor, lawyer, firefighter, policeman, car salesman, General Motors. There was no internet, right? So, you didn't have the ability to Google search, career choices. And I honestly remember painstakingly thinking this through it. And my father made it abundantly clear to me. I just don't think I can't see you in the factory setting. So in his day, the second you turned 18, you went to General Motors and they literally hired you when you walked in the door.
Wow.
And he had a hunch that wasn't going to last forever. And so he really encouraged me to get outside of that, think about something different. So he says, I really want you, you're probably more college material than I ever was. So go to college, be something. And of course, his view, right? It was not much more broad than mine as far as what my choices were. So I remember stressing big time about, oh my gosh, I don't know that I'm a fit for any of those things. So I go to college, not really knowing exactly what I wanted to do. In fact, I started out in psychology, and because I thought I love people, I just want to somehow have an impact on people. And if there's something I can do that really can improve the lives of people, that's probably where I want to find myself. Well, it took about second semester of college for me to realize, wow, I just don't know if I'd have the ability to separate. Like, how do you not bring the problems home with you? How do you ever let go? Because I have a genuine love for people. And how would I ever be able to separate? So I quickly I still can remember finding myself in a kind of a scary place, because when I thought that's what I wanted to do, psychology, I'm like, now what? And so I ended up turning to business. So I graduate from AU, Anderson University, get a business degree, and I'm like, okay, now what? And so I was bit by the enterprise rent-a-car bug. I was, a guy that I knew.
They say that's one of the number one employers of college grads. Enterprise grabs them right out of school. They must have a good story that they tell everybody.
Well, yeah, it was a good story, and you know what? It was probably one of the roughest jobs. I don't know if that's, it was a very difficult job, because it's very heavy, and this is, you'll love this because this all ties in, right? The past ties so in to the present future, but it was so heavy customer service oriented. It was so heavy sales. I mean, if you've not been part of that, or you don't know someone who worked at Enterprise, people will say, oh, well, have you ever even sold? You've been this carrier guy. Have you ever sold? I'm like, you don't understand. I sold insurance to people who already had full coverage insurance. Trust me. And I wasn't good at it, right? I mean, so I didn't like excel. I didn't go through the ranks at Enterprise, but I learned so much from that job. I mean, learned how to actually just have thicker skin and understand that just because someone tells you, and I'm not joking, you've ruined our family vacation, to not like, right? So I told you what my struggle was with psychology. How do I not take this home and worry that I've ruined these people's vacation, because that's what they told me I did. But it really taught me a lot of things about running a business, because it was a bunch of college kids running these shops. But thinking outside the box, looking for opportunities, looking for ways to upsell. If they want a little car, how do you ask them, hey, wouldn't you rather drive a bigger car? Just getting comfortable asking those type of questions. And then above all, telling yourself, being true to yourself. And so 2 years into that, I'm realizing this probably isn't for me either. So I probably should have maybe thought of this a year sooner. I did it for 2 years, and I went to a wedding, and the wedding was in the summertime. And I remember I tried to turn the car around 3 times, and I don't tell this lightly. I literally pulled off the road 3 times because it was a Saturday. I had to work that Saturday. You had to alternate what Saturdays you had to rent cars. So I was already frustrated, and I tried 3 times to not go to that wedding, and something inside me said, go. And I each time, I halfway down the road, 1 mile, 2 miles, pulled off. I'm like, oh, I can't not go. Wedding's over. We're all standing outside. I promise this is going somewhere. We're standing outside, and there was a gentleman that I was friends with. His name was Frank Owens. I don't know if you remember him from the Seco days, but we're standing outside waiting on the bride and groom to come out, and he makes a comment. Someone made a comment to him about what he was wearing. He had on a polo shirt and khaki pants, and I've got a full suit and tie. And again, I've just come from renting cars. And someone said something to him, and he goes, well, I have to look like this every day. And my words to him were, I looked up at him and I said, Frank, I would give my right arm to get to look like that every day. And I'm not kidding you, Joanne. He said, are you being serious? And I said, yes, I am. And the next thing I knew, I had an interview at Conseco. And the next thing I knew, I started in new business for Pioneer Life.
Wow.
That is exactly how that's exactly how I got into this business. And no one will ever convince me that this isn't the path I was meant to be on, because I tried 3 times to get off the path, and I was put back on it for a reason. And so if ever I start to question or get nervous, or if I think that, gosh, I don't know, I take myself back to that story and say, something, you're right where you're supposed to be. Just keep pushing forward. So I love that story, because to me, it was just listen. right? Just be mindful and trust your heart, follow your gut, and no right way to do the wrong thing. Just live your life like that. And my goodness, it's amazing how the doors will open.
Isn't that incredible? I was just having a conversation earlier with somebody that we were talking about all the different paths that we've taken in our careers or in our lives, and there's always it's amazing to me sometimes when you doubt yourself the most. Like you said, I've got so many things, and you were probably tired. You probably didn't. Last thing on earth you want to do is be around a bunch of people when you just got off work trying to service a bunch of angry people. Yes. There's something inside, a higher calling, whatever you want to leave.
Absolutely.
But isn't it funny how that does happen? And sometimes it's not the little things. It leads you to something so big. Like it led you to your spouse maybe, or it led you to, your career that, has just been absolutely phenomenal. But saying yes to things when maybe it's the last thing on earth you'd really want to do right now, that's what gets us to keep going down that path. But yeah, it's a great story.
My industry friends love to tease me. When we go into a room, especially like Medicarians, they love to walk up to me and say, "Okay, now wait a minute. Which table are you supposed to be standing at?" And I just say, "Hey, I've had the luxury of standing at a couple of them, and I'm proud to have been standing at one point or another at each and every one of them, because I learned something different at each step." But you said something that I think is critical, and I had to. I think back, and I was at Aetna for 10 years, and I probably would still be there, but there was something inside me, almost as motivating as turn the car around, Greg, that said, I want you to, there's something else that you need to do. There's other places that you can now take all this that you've been through, all that you've learned, and now go invest that into somebody else. And then you go there. And then there's something that says, you know what? You've maybe done all you can do here. Now let's go move somewhere else, and let's go invest, and let's learn, and being willing to. I wasn't raised in get out of your comfort zone. My father started working at General Motors, retired at General Motors. Mm-hmm. And that was very much hey, go with if it's working, don't break it. And I've had to learn, and each time I've done it, it's gotten easier to make changes. And just understanding that, man, there's just so much value that you can bring to different organizations, but it starts with you. You have to be willing to get uncomfortable. And if you're not willing to get uncomfortable, there's nothing wrong with starting and retiring someplace. So please, that's not at all what I'm saying.
Those are the lucky ones, right? They may have found the right thing, or that, I think some of that's just that generation too.
Yeah.
It's that stick with it mentality. Yeah. They feel like your dad would probably have felt like if he left to take his talent somewhere else, that he would be like abandoning the people that brought him in. And now it's not looked at that way. I loved the way you phrased it is, it wasn't so much that this move might be better for me, but it's what could I take from this experience that I've learned and now give to others. I love that way of looking at it.
You like to think that there's a reason for trials and tribulations, right? When you're going through them, you're like, what in the world? What good could possibly come from this? But then you look back on it and you're like, wait a sec. We had those challenges and we went through those things. And I'm talking business specific now. And you think, what if I take the learnings from that weren't fun? Well, but if you think about it, Joanne, I told people this all the time. I'm like, the things that seem to matter and stick with you the most are the things that were the most challenging. Like, it's like if it's easy, it's forgettable.
Right.
But because if you ask somebody, tell me about a time that was challenging and how you got through it, you could probably give almost a daily account of what you went through to achieve whatever it was you achieved, right? But if you then say, tell me about the most fun thing you've ever done and give me details of that, it's like, well, gosh, I guess we just planned it and went on the vacation, or whatever it was. It's almost forgettable. So
they say a lot about parenting too. They say there's the phrase is parenting is hard, ... but only for the good ones.
Yeah.
Parenting could be easy if you just kind of let the day happen, let the kid have screen time, let the kid eat what they want. That's not that it's easy, but it's not hard, right?
Yeah.
Being a good parent.
Popular.
Well, yeah, exactly. Being a good
If you do
parent.
what you're supposed to do, you're not popular as a parent. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of just like your career or anything else, parenting is the same of what's easy today is going to make your life harder tomorrow. So if you chose an easier path, maybe to stay with company A or whatever, might have been easy at the time, but like you said, might not have benefited that company or you or your family down the road. So doing what's easy today may feel like you're winning, but it's really just making things harder for next week, next month, next year.
Well, and especially if you one day think you're going to go somewhere else, the longer every day you stay is going to make it one day harder to leave.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it does, because your relationships, the people you're around, you just get tighter and tighter. And that's just one of the things I have so treasured and loved about this industry is getting to meet like people like you and just all the other folks that are in the industry. Was with Ryan Kimball just last week. And he and I we go back too. And this isn't just business for us. Somehow we have been blessed and we've been put in a spot where we get to work with our friends.
Yeah.
And my goodness, I can't, there's nowhere else I'd want to be.
There was a carrier one time that I don't even remember the carrier name. It doesn't matter. But there was a gentleman that had never been on the Medicare side. He was on the life or the financial or something side and was being introduced at one of our senior, Medicare events. And had been, they always have like a dinner the night before and everybody, it's like old home week, everybody's bugging and catching up on kids and everything. And then the next day, the business meeting and as soon as he was introduced, he's like, I've never been at an event like this. He's like, I don't understand. You all are competitors and you're all hugging each other all the time. You know each other's kids. You can't wait for the next trip and the last trip you're still talking about. He's like, we don't get this. And again, I don't remember which sector he was coming from, but so I don't know if it's our industry, if we just kind of attract that kind of people or I don't know what it is necessarily, but it is definitely, I always talk about it. It's as fun, sometimes more fun than a family reunion, right? When we get to see each other, especially from like May to August, when there's event after event after event, and you look forward to seeing those same people at the different events or seeing somebody that maybe didn't see it all last year and now they're back in a different role. There is something pretty special about that. And I think a lot of our young folks that we have working with us now probably take that for granted. Like going to a work conference is fun.
Right.
That's because it's all they've ever known. Right. And I'm sure they have family members or something that it's, maybe not always that picture.
Yeah. Well, and I think about even on the carrier side, you think that we would be at each other, right? Yeah. And it's funny. And agents, I've had agents say to me, I said other distribution partners say, they're like, are you guys you seriously, you're all our friends? And it's like, yeah, we actually are, because, when we travel and we all leave our families behind, we all can relate to each other's life, right? We can all buy into and understand and support each other through crazy, because quite frankly, there are not a lot of people built to do what we do, because you've got to still keep, your home life together. You've got to be a good dad. You got to be a good husband. And then you got to be good for the organization, good for the agents, good for distribution. So, but it was funny just a real quick story. Someone said that to me. They were a newer distributor in this business, and they kind of got caught in a little white lie. And the phrase back to me was, "You guys talk like you guys all know each other." I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, we're just because I said, while you guys are in doing your meeting that you don't want us to participate in, where do you leave us? You leave us all out in the hall we're talkers, so we all meet each other and we become friends and we go to dinner or we go to lunch or we go to breakfast. So I said, and he's like, just what you said. He goes, I have never seen anything like this. And I said, yeah, so be careful what you say because it will get around.
Very quickly now, especially with social media and texting and online everything. When we first started, there wasn't that, but it was more like telephone tag, probably. When you're at an event.
Isn't it weird? Like, it's almost hard to get your head around that. The only way for you and I obviously email was on the scene, but it wasn't that old. No. And so it was either a legit full-on phone, no texting. It was either a phone call or a new to you email.
Yeah.
And that was it. I mean, we didn't have cell phones at the beginning.
My son was born, or no, it was in between. So 92 and 97. So somewhere in there, about the time we met, probably. Yeah. Is when I got my first cell phone because I was having car issues and my husband hated the fact that, we tried to fix the car or whatever.
Right.
But at that time couldn't just go buy a new one because this one was broke. But he hated the fact of me going to work, picking up a kid and then coming home if I didn't have any way to get home. So somewhere in that range, probably 95 is when I got my first cell phone. And it was probably a bag phone that connected.
Oh, of course.
It was like this big.
Squirrely cord on, you're driving down the road.
I know. My kids ask me that all the time, like, because they don't remember a day before, and they're, my kids are grown, they're adults, but they don't remember, they were around, but they don't remember a time when we didn't have GPS or navigation of some kind. So my daughter, one time, she just turned 30, she's like, wait a minute. So you would go to a town you've never been in, you'd buy a map at the gas station, or they'd give you one, and you'd just follow the map? Like, that's how you got around? I guess so. I don't even remember now.
Yeah, I remember by the time I got into sales, which was a few years into my Conseco career, I remember I was like a territory manager for Rob Gassiori. Everybody, a lot of people know Rob Gassiori.
Yeah.
And I knew that'd put a smile on your face. He's a good guy. We still talk.
I don't see him anymore. Where'd he end up?
Yeah, no, we still talk. He's still at Conseco or Washington National.
Yeah.
Yep. And things seem to be going well. And there's a couple of them that are still there. Mark Warnock and some of the others. Just great friends, great. And I just ran into Mark at the airport a couple of weeks ago, and it was as if we never had any moment of time between us, right? You just pick right up where you left off. But I remember for him, so this was my start into wanting to become an RVP.
Yep.
I remember him telling me, and I came with him to your office one time.
Yep.
And I was by this point now, the internet is a little more, up and going. And I remember he'd say, hey, we're going to go see Joanne. And then I forget the other, there's always a route like that you take, try to, can you map quest? And so I would spend the day map questing, and I had all these printouts. I had a copy, and he had a copy because surely his is going to blow out the window, so you got to have a backup. It was very detailed. And so that's how we would get around.
They'd put gas stations along the site too on your little MapQuest, other points of interest. Yeah, I remember many a trip doing a MapQuest trip.
Yeah, and I remember starting at.
Remember, you could actually stop and ask somebody. You'd always go to the gas station and ask somebody directions. I wouldn't no more do that now than, one, they wouldn't know what I'm talking about.
Well,
probably.
Yeah, most people, almost like if you asked them what their phone number is, most people are like, oh, man, let me think.
I
remember when starting at Genworth, the very first thing I went out and invested in was a Garmin.
Yeah.
Because that then was the newest, and you were judged by the size of how, the screen and how much do you love what you do based on how much you were willing to invest in the big Garmin or the little tiny guy and the suction cup in the window, and off we went. And it was the world at our oyster. It was.
Oh my God. That was so big. It was a big game changer. I remember we used that for agent gifts for a couple years when it was
what a great idea
thing. Like that would be the thing they would like work all year for and qualify for as a Garmin. GPS, and now they're probably what, $25 at Best Buy.
I don't even. Yeah, I suppose they still sell them. I don't know. I haven't even paid any attention. I don't know. A funny story about the Garmin, and this came from the Genworth career side. And you remember Genworth had this giant. I mean, it was awesome. Those folks knew long-term care by the back of their hands, and we got to spend a lot of time with them. But I remember one of the area managers one time said that the Garmin actually had a major impact on their success rate. And I said, how in the world can you blame Garmin? And they said what was happening was agent, like say you and I would have a conversation, and you'd start to give me directions to get to your house to talk to you about long-term care. I stop you and I say, hang on, no big deal. I've got the address. I'll find you. And they discovered that I'll find you was essentially, that's a good way that when you knock, nobody's answering because you oh, wait a minute. You mean Greg's going to find me whether I want him to or not? Because before, when you gave directions, you were controlling whether I found you or not. And she said, so what they stopped doing was even mentioning that they had Garmins. I'd say, Joanne, tell me how to get to your house. And you'd start talking. And I'd just lay the phone down and I'd work on whatever else it was. And then yes, big tree, but the big tree down and
turn it up.
She said the number of appointments that kept when they let people give them the directions and stay in control. So it's just a funny. I down there.
Well, it just kind of goes to show the change of the times. Like, it wasn't that long ago that a lot of agents said none of their senior clients would sign up for them over the phone. And now look what COVID and technology has done to where I don't know the stats, but I would assume it's got to be at least, it's over 50% now, probably inching towards 70% of the people would rather do it that way. As a consumer, I can't imagine, I'm trying to think now, the last person that if they asked, I would invite into my home to talk to me about a product. I can't fathom when the last time that was.
Yeah.
But I think that or over the phone or buying something online is just so commonplace now you don't think about it.
And I think that probably was as big a driver as anything. I think like the Amazon experience.
Yeah.
And I think every time someone orders something and it shows up, they just gaining just a little bit more confidence in something that they can't figure out, something they don't understand, and something that we've all been warned against, like, don't put your card into that machine because they'll take advantage of you or that. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen from time to time, but for the most part, if you, and what's really crazy now, you buy it in the morning and it shows up by the end of the day, that one's still a little wild to me.
Well, it's gotten to the point now where, and I didn't mean for this to be a commercial for Amazon, but it just kind of showed the wave of technology and how things have changed. Yeah. If you accidentally, which I won't probably do it on purpose, accidentally order something that's not Amazon, and you have to wait 7 to 10 days, oh my gosh, it's like a kid waiting for Christmas.
Oh yeah,
like this is ridiculous. I was not here the next day.
Yeah, I could have gone and got it myself in this amount of time for the money I saved. It's not worth the mental anguish of anticipating it showing up at the door. So I totally get you. But it's amazing how all that technology, like you said, I mean, honestly, if you and I had been in a conversation when we first met and someone said, hey, you two, come here. One day, half of all this will be, you and I would have both said, you are out of your mind, whoever you are.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have laughed and went right back to our dinner or whatever it was we were doing. And so I think it just goes to show you at how much, if you're willing to, as long as you're willing to embrace it and accept the change, not all of it is bad. And we just have to be willing to meet people where they want to be met at.
Yeah. I say it so many times, everybody listening and my staff has heard me say this so many times, but it's so applicable of what COVID taught us from a business standpoint is, and I'm a studier. Like I love studying people. I love studying businesses. I love studying why things work, why they don't. But one of the things I studied during COVID and the lockdown and for a couple years after was businesses that thrived during it and businesses that didn't. And it was always, there was a common theme of the ones that didn't. And it didn't matter what industry, restaurant to being an insurance product carrier or distributor. If you couldn't pivot in how your clients, how you meet your clients, then you got trouble. Like restaurants, right? You should probably add them in your area too, that if your only way of serving a customer their food is if they came to your parking lot, came inside, sat down, ordered off a paper menu, and waited for somebody to bring it to their table. If that's the only way you can deliver your product and you weren't able to pivot to carry out to online, they didn't make it, or they're still struggling today. And same with the
or what about the only way that your business is successful is if everybody can come to the office at 8 every day and leave at 5?
Yeah, boy, there's a big change, and we've embraced that. We love, I was one of the old fuddy-duddies too that thought work meant be here at 8, leave it, or be here at 7:30 and leave at 5:30, right?
Yeah,
that's just, it's just not applicable anymore. And I love that we can be flexible, and love that we can give parents the ability to be flexible. I didn't even have kids when I started here, but as I watched my mentors and then myself start having kids and being a parent in a working environment, man, if your company, I always tell my young kids, if they're going somewhere else to work, watch how others are doing that. Are they all able to go to their kids' doctor's appointments, kids' soccer practices? Mom's sick. Can I go take care of mom for a couple of days? If nobody's doing that, then get the heck out of there, because they're not going to let you do it either. And we've tried to make sure it's through family-friendly policy here that I need the best you showing up each day. And if that means you need to leave 2 days a week for soccer practice for a month, please do. Please do.
And even this, while a perk to so many, actually, there are others who are like, please do not leave me at home. Open the doors and let me come back. I still remember conference calls and things that when I was at Cigna, because that was during COVID, and there was a lady in particular, and she had pushed her son out of the view of the camera, got the door closed, and she got real close to the camera. She said, I can't do this anymore. Someone go unlock the building. And poor thing, she said, I'm not built for work at home. I mean, she said, this isn't me. Whereas the rest of us who had been doing this for like 14, 15 years are going, now you all see, how we've been able to be successful. And this is the life we've been living. And that's another piece of it. You have to be a self-starter. You have to be willing to love what you do enough to wake up and get on it, knowing nobody is looking over your shoulder to see if you're doing it. And to me, that's passion for what you do. And I said, listen, I don't need anybody to help me love what I'm doing. This is just, I don't know. I just got bit by the bug, and I love it more every day. I mean, literally, it just, something about this business is just so special. I just don't know how I'm a part of it.
Yeah, such a great way to look at it. And I always try to think, respectful and insightful about kind of the past and what got us to here. But I'm always super excited still about what's next. I laugh, and I'm sure my team makes fun of me I still, to this day, Greg, still feel like we're just getting started. This is something new. I hope it works. We're going to give it our all. Let's go, team. Like this is the first AEP we've ever had, right?
Yeah.
And it's
that's
17th, I think, AEP or something.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's kind of how, and I'm not to bring Humana into it. Yeah, that's really what I saw here as an opportunity here. That's one of those things where it's like, wait a minute, they could use some guidance. They need some help from someone who's already been there and done that. And so to me, this was like an incredible opportunity to have an impact on another organization, and let me help you not do the things and mistakes that we've made at other carriers in the past, so we can ramp this up and get to success much quicker. And I'm with you 100%. I mean, I just literally every day I wake up excited, like, not that doesn't mean I wake up hoping there are no challenges. Or then I think we're going to just blow the doors off of it today. Quite frankly, one of the things I enjoy is when it doesn't go perfectly. Because if it went perfectly, guess who they don't need? They don't need me. Yeah. But it keeps it exciting.
Yeah. So let's pivot a little bit then, and let's talk about Greg Etchison, the dad, the husband. Gosh, your kids. Are you empty nesters now?
So we have a daughter, Abby, and she just graduated, and so from high school, and so now she is a freshman at Indiana Wesleyan.
How's that going?
Going really well. I mean, it's about 45 minutes away from home. So we were down to 3 schools. 2 of the 3 would have required an airplane trip. The one was a car ride, and she went with the car ride, and I think hindsight, she's thankful for that. She's like her mom, and not a big fan of winter. And so the other 2 places, Arizona and Florida, so clearly, but she opted for cold. And we told her, we said, hey, it's just 4 more years. If you graduate and the job of your dream job is in Florida or in Arizona, you have the rest of your life to live there. But it's up, but we let her choose. And so I think she's really happy. She's a cheerleader. She actually will be moving from what they call the game day squad to the competitive squad. So, travel on ends and things like that. So we're just excited how the Lord is working in her life and moving and influencing her. And then, of course, my beautiful wife, Beth, my goodness, she would kill me. We got, 24 years. Because we got married in 1999, met at Anderson University. So we met at college, and I'm just so blessed, Joanne. I mean, of all the work things, it's funny. I was thinking about this morning. We have pictures of Abby. Of course, she was our only one. And so, there's pictures of her all over the place. And I thought, boy, of all the things that I'm proud of, all the things that I feel blessed to have been a part of from a business perspective, it all pales in comparison to how proud she has made us, and what a wonderful child she is. So we're very, very lucky.
Oh, what a great time in her life too.
To get there, we probably weren't overly liked, although there were probably moments where she didn't think we were all that cool. Well, she actually she didn't push very hard. So we were really lucky that, she's a good kid.
Well, they don't just pop out that way. I think there's that whole nature versus nurture argument, and I love studying that, and I love thinking about it. I think they're 75% who they're going to be the day they enter this world, and it's just our job to kind of help get them to where they need to be. And I think the saddest thing for parents that I've watched some family members or friends try to do this is take that kid and shape them into what they want. Like my idea of a kid they should be doing this, or they should follow me in my path. I got 3 kids. They're as far from this industry as they could possibly.
Amazing.
Not because they didn't, like what I was doing, or obviously they enjoyed the perks of what we were doing.
Sure.
But they had their own passion, and they're all following that. And that makes me happier than if their name was going to be behind my name. They're out doing what they want to do, what they love to do. And it brings them. So I hope that every day they wake up, like you just said you do, of, this giddy, blessed feeling to be a part of whatever industry they're going into. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've tried to instill in her that don't let money steer the ship.
Yep.
I mean, because there's plenty of money to be made, but if you're miserable, it isn't worth it. I mean, I told her that time and time again. I said, I got really lucky that I fell into something that not only does it, check all the boxes personally, professionally, but it just so happens it actually, there's nice compensation that comes with that as you move through.
Yeah.
But I said, don't ever, ever let that be the guiding principles. Go with your passion. Go with the thing that lets you wake up and work from home, if that's what you get to do. And then let life play out, and money will come, or whatever it is meant to be will come.
Right.
But always go with your heart first, and go with your passion.
I love that. My son, he's the youngest, just turned 25, and he was definitely born in the right time period, because his two older sisters, one's a nurse, one's a teacher, and that's what they've always known they wanted to do.
Awesome.
And they love what they're doing most days.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of been the one that, school wasn't his main thing. So he kind of got by and just never really had like a clear path, but he's always worked. He's always made a lot of money and always worked.
Yeah.
But he's the kind of guy right now, he's so much fun to talk to, because he's got that entrepreneurial, and there's so many ways kids can make money these days. All the online stuff, all the game video stuff. Start your own business. He started his own LLC and just figures out different ways to, he worked for a moving company for a while when he first went to Phoenix. And one of the things that he noticed is if people had stuff that they didn't want to move, but they really didn't want to throw it away, kind of that in between of, I don't want it, but I can't leave it here. So he's like, Mom, we need to figure out a way of like something that I could do. And I was like, well, go rent a trailer and haul it away for them for an extra, $150 or something. It's no money to them. They just paid a big moving fee. So it's no big deal to pay another $100. And you got $100 in your pocket, and you can go resell it or take it to the junkyard. So anyway, just those types of things he's always thinking of, and always creative ways to make money. So I just...
So he's in the piano and the pool table business is what I understand. The two things that always get left behind.
No, he hasn't figured out what to do with those yet, though.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. They always
right through. Yeah, that's what they.
Yeah.
That's what, if they don't want to take it, they don't know what to do with it, because it's going to cost money.
Yeah, for sure.
So talk about so you've got the daughter well on her way, obviously very successful. Kind of people are always asking me what the next chapter looks like. I mean, we're too young to retire, but yet I want to go on and I want to be contributing in some way outside of this industry. What's your dream for your next chapter?
Yeah, I think that's interesting, because I've spent a little bit of time thinking on that, but there's so much to think about today. I spent a whole lot of time, but I think for me, I want to make sure that I leave this someday better than I found it. I want to know that someday the work we're doing today is hopefully will create jobs for Abby's kids, those kids' kids, and that we're having an impact on not just the present, but on the future. But I think at some point when I'm ready to say, okay, time to turn this over to a younger group of people, because I'll admit I'm really not, I'm not as good with, and it's probably, I guess I'm choosing to a degree, but I'm not as good with the technology, and I do LinkedIn as well as I can. I don't have Facebook, and I don't, but I do see that's a value. I need to get better at that, but people where that's natural to them, right, and those types of things. And so I think I see at some point, I just want to get to a point where I'm 100% giving back. So my goal is the day that I'm done doing what we do, which is going to be really difficult to let go of, but because hopefully we will always be friends. We'll always be a text message away. But as we all know, this is what helps keep us, somewhat together. But I want to get to a point where I wake up every day and it's either how am I impacting others, whether it's personally, professionally. There's plenty of volunteer. Oh my goodness. Our church has tons of volunteer opportunities. So I think about the day where that's where I'm investing in those kinds of things, and hopefully being a coach of some sort on the side. It's funny. A couple of Abby's friends have really reached out to me and like, what if I want to be you? someday, which is, that's, I so humbling.
Yeah.
If I want to be you someday, what do you reckon? What should I be looking for in like internship? What are the things I should focus on? I hate to tell them, like, I didn't even know I wanted to be this. So I appreciate you asking.
I went to a wedding.
Yeah, I went to a wedding, man. It's that easy. But I really am finding the older I get, it's those things that are, it's all about here, but if, it's about here. And one day I know it's going to be here. But just being able to work with others, invest in their lives, and really, not, to your point earlier, not make them me, not make them something they aren't supposed to be, but really dive into them and invest in them, and to help them find the courage, the value that they hold, make sure that they, are always, I said this earlier, there's no right way to do the wrong thing. And if I can just get kids or younger people to listen to that and take that to heart and live that way, it is amazing the respect you get from others. And it's just such a freeing way to live. You don't have to watch your back. You don't have to try to remember what you told somebody, because if you just are always doing what's right, it's just so much more freeing and a little less stressful.
Yeah, I always say I could never lie because I can't remember anything, so I can't.
And it's getting worse. I don't know about you. Right? It's
going to
really...
get the truth from me.
Yeah,
So
I'm with you.
I can't remember who I've told what to. So.
I know.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Well, what a great words to live by. And you do, my friend, live by those words. You do bring impact. You do bring grace to every meeting, every time I've ever seen you over the years. And yeah, I hope we continue for many, many, many more years.
Yes.
Seeing each other and working together and trying to help the next generation, whatever that means, within our own companies, within our families, within our industry. But that does give me great joy, as I can tell it does you as well. So keep on keeping on, my friend.
Yeah, to both of us, right? I mean, what a true treasure you are to this business and the impact you've had on not only the industry as a whole, but people like me. Who've had the opportunity to almost kind of felt like we grew up together in it, but at the same point, I always have admired you and just the way you carry yourself as well, and just the organization as a whole. I just always have admired every one of you, and so thank you for the difference that you all have made.
Oh, well, bless you. Thank you. Appreciate that very much, and appreciate you joining us here today. Hope everybody enjoyed. I know it's so enlightening and so fun for me to take somebody like you that, has had such success and just kind of peel back some and, oh my gosh, you're just this.
We're all human.
Great human.
Yeah.
That's what's there. You're a great human. Yeah. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Greg. And thank you, everybody, for listening in. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. See you, Greg.
Bye.
Bye.